Won't work. Good morning, all. We are going to start today's zoning meeting. If I could have the clerk call roll, please.
Vice Mayor Baxter.
Here.
Commissioner Flores. Mayor Marino.
Here.
Commissioner Powell. Here. Commissioner Sachs.
Here.
Commissioner Wise.
Here.
And Commissioner Woodward.
Here.
Thank you.
Thank you. And I've asked Vice Mayor Baxter to do the invocation and lead us in the pledge.
Before we begin our business at hand, let us ask you, Father, to give voice to our sincere gratitude to the divine for allowing us to reach this day with the abundant blessing that our great community has bestowed. Let us pray that with sacred guidance from the Almighty for our decision making, we may continue to work for the betterment of all. In Jesus' name, amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. I'm a little slow today. Don't feel good. Notice and proof of publication?
Yes, we do have that.
Okay. Swearing in?
Sure. Everybody who plans to testify, please stand and raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Mayor, may I be recognized?
Sure.
Here. For the benefit of the clerk, can we get a motion to receive and file proof of publication, please?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you. Proof of publication. Oh.
So moved. Proof of publication. Oh.
Oh, we did. I did notice and proof of publication, yes. And then we did the swearing in. That's what we did.
Yes, we have proof of publication.
That's why I said so moved.
Do we have
Okay.
a second?
All in favor?
Aye.
See, the motion carries 6-0. Thank you. Sorry. Do we have any additions, deletions, substitutions? I know the list is long, so we'll be patient.
Yes, we do have a few for postponements. Item 8 and item number 9, PDD DOA 2024-01924, Ascot 441 Atlantic PUD. They've requested a postponement. Item 9Z 2024-01925 Neal Property. They've also requested a postponement. Both of those items, after you adopt the agenda, will need a motion. On the consent agenda, 5 DOA 2024-01760 Boca YMCA. Exhibit C modifying all petition condition number 2. Parking condition number 1. On the regular agenda, item number 7, W 2024-01566 Beach Sound, correcting the agenda for the acreage of 1.46 acres. We will also note for the record that staff received 41 additional letters of support that we will be passing out and providing to the clerk. Item C11, ABNZ 2024-01914 Paving Lady, a correction to the title and request on the acreage for each additional resolution for abandonment. D12, the Center for Arts and Innovation, Inc. Tourist Development Council, modify the agenda to delete this item in its entirety. Item 12, employment contract of Joseph Abruzzo for a county administrator. And that is a brand new item. And then we have some attachments relative to the abandonments.
Thank you. Vice Mayor Baxter, your license.
Postponements.
Thank you. Wendy, would you mind just giving me the item numbers that are being pulled?
Item number 8 and 9 is requested for postponement.
And those are the only two? The rest are amendments?
Correct.
Thank you.
Well, and the HAB Center is removed.
Which
Or
one?
not the HAB Center, the Center for Arts and Innovation, number 12.
Number 12.
From the Tourist Development Council is removed, and it's replaced with a new item for 12.
All right, thank you.
All right. Before we approve the agenda, I would actually like to reorder the agenda to bring item 12 as the first regular item. May I get a motion for that?
So moved.
I have a motion from the Vice Mayor, a second from Commissioner Sacks. All in favor, all opposed. That motion carries 6-0. Can we now get the agenda adopted as amended?
So moved.
I have a motion from the Vice Mayor, a second from Commissioner Sacks. All in favor, all opposed. See that motion carries. Okay, would anyone like to pull anything from consent? Seeing no. Oh, we have a card on consent? Okay,
And don't forget disclosures.
thank you.
Disclosures or card?
Card first.
James Cap.
Thank you.
Ready for me?
Go right ahead.
All right, just briefly, Dr. James Cap. I live at 6728 Hollandaire Drive, West Boca Raton, Florida. I am a neighbor of the YMCA in Boca Raton, and I serve on the Peter Blum Family Board. I am just in favor of anything that would help the Y to expand its footprint. My whole family is served by the Y. It's an important part of our community. In Boca Raton, this is what community should look like, and it does a great service by supporting all of our neighbors, and most importantly, it's serving those individuals who need it the most. So that's my comment.
Thank you very much. All right, and before we approve the consent agenda, let's take disclosures, please. Commissioner Sacks, any disclosures on consent?
Yes, on item number 4, I have no disclosures. Item number 5, no disclosures. And item number 6, receive and file emails. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you.
Okay, on item number 4, no disclosures. On item number 5, Boca YMCA, I have verbal communication with Brian Hunt, Jason Hagensick, Bonnie Snow, Lindsay Krutz, Timothy Krutz, Raquel Semaru, and Patty Kostopoulos, and email correspondence filed with the clerk. And on item number 6, Palm Beach Marketplace, I have verbal communication with Sharon Merchant, Jean Ducharme, Don Hearing, Robert Desiel, Derek Brock, Colby Brock, and email correspondence filed with the clerk.
Vice Mayor?
For item number 7, I spoke with Don Herring, Jean Ducarme, Robert Dessel, Plunkett, Derek Brock, Colby Brock, no site visit, and received emails that have been filed with the clerk, and no disclosures for the rest, but I may need to update one going forward.
That, item 7 is on regular agenda. We're just doing
Oh,
consent
all right,
items.
thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Weiss?
Thank you, Mayor. The only item I have to disclose on is item number 6, Palm Beach Marketplace. I had verbal communications with Jean Ducharme and Don Herring.
Thank you. Commissioner Powell?
Thank you, Madam Chair. On item 6, I have verbal communication, in-person meeting with Don Herring, Dean Ducharme, Sharon Merchant.
Thank you. Item number 4, I had a verbal communications and a site visit with Treetop Academy Executive Director Jeffrey Turner. Item 5, no disclosures. Item 6, verbal communications with Don Herring, Jean Ducharme, Sharon Merchant, and have filed emails with the clerk. With that, may I get a motion to approve the consent agenda? We have a motion from Commissioner Sacks, a second from Commissioner Woodward. All in favor, all opposed. See that motion carries 6-0. We are now on to the regular agenda where we have moved up item 12, and I know you all want to be excused for a moment, so go right ahead.
And
But
one-
what did we forget?
1 second before that, could we get a motion to postpone numbers 8 and numbers 9? They missed our deadline for an administrative postponement. If we could just have a motion and a vote for those.
Sure. I have a motion from Commissioner Sacks, a second from Commissioner Woodward. All in favor, all opposed, see that that motion carries.
Want to have a date certain for them to come back?
They didn't ask for a date. So it would by default be next month?
Next month?
Yeah. And since they're not here to ask for a
Do we
different
have to
date.
have a date certain, Madam Mayor?
It's legally, it's better to have a date certain so we don't have to re-advertise if it's announced at the meeting.
What I'd like to be able to do is leave that up maybe to the applicant, whether they'd be ready at that time.
That,
I think that would be proper.
here,
Sir?
Hi, good morning. Doug Murray with WGI on behalf of the applicant. Yes, we would request 30 days for additional time to meet with commissioners.
Okay, so we'll make the time certain for next month, next zoning meeting. Thank you.
Thank you.
So we had a motion and a second. We do not have to do disclosure since we're postponing, correct? Okay. So motion and second, all in favor, all opposed, see that that motion carries 6-0 for the postponement of items 8 and 9. We can do that together, correct? Darren?
correct, yes.
Okay, thank you very much. All right. Now we are on to item 12.
Okay.
What is this? What is this? Okay. This is from? I just want to know what I'm being served with.
Do you want me to leave?
You want company?
Okay. We're doing item 12 now. And we're getting updated information at the moment, so we will, as soon as everyone has the,
Do you need a signature from each of us? Oh.
we good? We're good. Mr. Audi.
Morning, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Commissioners. Staff recommends a motion to approve the employment contract between the Board of County Commissioners and Joe Abruzzo as County Administrator. The former County Administrator retired on May 31st, 2025. On May 20th, 2025, the BCC appointed Assistant County Administrator Todd Bunlarn to serve as the interim administrator until the BCC's appointment of a county administrator. On June 17, 2025, following the selection process, the BCC selected Joseph Abruzzo as a county administrator. The proposed contract provides for a 5-year term commencing on August 19th and an annual salary of $425,000, deferred compensation, a county vehicle assignment, professional dues, indemnification, termination and severance pay, renewal, vacation leave and sick leave credit, and annual appraisal and other benefits afforded to county employees.
Thank you. I see no lights on. Do I have a Commissioner Sacks and then Commissioner Wise?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I want to thank you, Mayor, and Mr. Oddie for representing the Board of County Commissioners in the negotiation of this contract. I noticed in the contract, and it's a question for the both of you, really. I noticed in the contract that, and I have not spoken to Clerk Abruzzo about this previously, with regard to education. I know that many county employees get education, further their education, during their term of employment. Would there be any provision in here for Clerk Abruzzo to continue any education that he would like to further his abilities to serve as county administrator?
There was a discussion about reimbursement for education that actually got changed to once we do the appraisal, if there is a bonus at that time, that's not the right word, but additional compensation at that time, it would offset the education component that Clerk Abruzzo and I had talked about. So he withdrew the request for education. We do have a policy in place already for education for reimbursement, so that's already there.
Okay, so in other words, as other county employees have pursued educational benefits and we paid for them, that will also be included in this contract, even if I don't see it in the 4 quarters of this
Correct.
contract.
It's
That's
policy.
the clause where we say other employee benefits afforded to county employees.
Other benefits that are afforded
To county employees.
employees.
Right.
And that's sufficient description there, Mr. Adi, in order for him to pursue a degree and be compensated for it during his term as county administrator?
Yes, that is the county's policy.
Okay, and that is sufficient language to make sure that that's open to him?
Clerk
as well?
Abruzzo's shaking his head yes.
Okay, good, okay. In case he wants to get educated. Thank you. I think you've done a great job here, and I appreciate it. I know it was done, we weren't participating in it, but we were well represented.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor.
Commissioner Weiss.
Thank you. Ms. Roddy, could you help just summarize section 4.2?
Section 4.2 provides where the administrator may be eligible, depending on the board. If the board sets certain criteria, specific matrices that they would like to see the county administrator achieve, and if he achieves those, the board has it at their sole pleasure, as it's emphasized, to give him a salary increase. What is also included is that if Mr. Abruzzo gets such an increase and subsequently the county gives across the board cost of living increase, that Mr. Abruzzo's prior increase will go up or down depending on the percentage of the COLA. So for example, if he gets a 5% increase and the board gives an 8% across the board, he gets the additional 3%, and vice versa.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you. I see no other lights on. Would someone like to make a motion? I have a motion from Commissioner Sacks, a second from Commissioner Powell. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? See that the motion carries to hire Clerk Abruzzo to become Administrator Abruzzo. Carries 6-0. Clerk Abruzzo, would you like to comment?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. First and foremost, I cannot thank you enough in the negotiation process, working with you and getting input from the board as a whole. It means a lot, but David Adi cannot thank you enough for all your work that you've put into this. Commissioner Weiss, when you keyed in on 4.2, you'll notice in the language that it's tied to performance and metrics. And what I'm trying to do here is lead by example. The staff, our incredible county staff, as I will be going through evaluations, we will be discussing evaluations for our county staff, which hasn't taken place since 2008. And I believe that you will see a proposal by me as the administrator tying future COLAs, although there will be I will propose a base, but part of that COLA will be tied to performance. And that's the direction I'm looking at moving in, and I wanted to lead by example clearly in my contract. Madam Mayor, with your indulgence, this will be the last time I address the board in public as a whole as clerk, and I have two items I wanted to bring up, if that's okay.
Okay.
Thank you. First, I would like to say that, as you all know, one of my primary responsibilities is safeguarding our public dollars, investing that money, Commissioner Weiss as chair of our policy committee, and making sure we have growth in earnings. In the 5 years, or 4.5 years prior to taking office, we earned $179 million. When I came in, up until this point, nearly 4.6 years later, we've earned $656 million, which is the largest earnings for any county in our state, both percentage and numbers based. I bring this up because the next clerk and comptroller, we were on pace to crack $1 billion by the end of this term. I'm, along with my incredible staff, Felicia Landerman, Radcliffe, Brown, John Burford, I'm working on laying out a plan for whoever may come in, and we have no idea, to continue our great policies, investment strategy to make sure we get these earnings continually to the board. It's extremely important. Somebody that comes in has the full purview to change what we're doing, and I will tell you that I will do everything I can to stress the direction we're heading in. I also am able to do some long-term investments that will make sure we have some sufficient earnings for many, many years to come. So I will be looking at that. There's one issue that I wasn't able to bring to the board that I think is extremely important, and the board will have to make a decision on the direction we are moving in. And as mentioned, this is a critical issue. We are ground zero for property fraud in the United States. Broward, Miami-Dade, and Palm Beach County. Unfortunately, the law states for the clerk or the record keeper that we have to file any deed that is handed to us. So, quite frankly, criminals have locked onto this, and they have been filing false deeds in a variety of manners, stealing property across South Florida. Broward County, we operate the property fraud alert system here at the clerk's office. When I took office, I brought it to the Broward structure of government's a little different than ours, but their property appraiser, Marty Kerr, handles the records there. And I showed them what we did with our property fraud alert. Not only did they institute that in Broward County, they created the Crimes Against Property CAP unit in conjunctions with their sheriff's department, Fort Lauderdale PD, and their state attorney. They have hundreds of cases. Went live at the fourth quarter of last year. They have a 100% conviction rate. I believe there's over 30 cases convicted with hundreds in investigation phase. So this isn't a one-off issue. This is a serious issue. I was getting set to propose to you a CAP unit in the county. It could be housed within our county administration structure. It could be housed at the clerk. I'm going to be passing some information on. Sheriff Bradshaw has been incredible. He assigned some detectives along with a set person from the sheriff's office to work with our office, with our investigators to identify what is occurring here in Palm Beach County. I will tell you, our lead internal investigator, Anthony Palmieri, at the clerk's office, has files like this on his desk. So when I tell you this is a serious issue, I mean it. So I'll be going around, but I wanted to state that publicly as clerk for the last time. It is very important. What the board's responsibility will be asked of by the next clerk, or if we decide to house it within the administration, there needs to be funds for accountants. That this is important because these cases.
Funds for?
The cases are complex, and you need CPAs to go through what is occurring, which I'll explain in I'm sorry, accountants.
I heard, so that's why I asked funds for. Funds for accountants, certified public accountants.
Yes. Okay. But the impact to I strongly believe in a low ballpark figure, the fraud occurring right here in Palm Beach County is in the hundreds of millions of dollars, and we have a chance to put a stop to it, especially since Broward has a strong enforcement mechanism. The criminals have locked on that we do not yet. So it's very important we get on this, in my strong opinion. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
You're welcome, and thank you for bringing that up. I actually did register for the fraud alert, and there is actually another Maria Marino in the county. So all of a sudden, a title comes through, and I'm like, I'm not doing anything. I'm not selling anything. And I did contact the office, and Anthony was, within hours, I got a response from him where the address was and the person, and it was the other Maria Marino that lives in the county. So I guess my comment is, whoever hasn't registered for fraud alert, if you do own your home, please do so. Go to the clerk's website and do that. Commissioner Weiss, your light is on.
Thank you, and I'm sure we'll have deeper conversations later about this, but my question would be, where's the role of the title insurance people in all of this?
It really doesn't affect title insurance. They're claiming false deeds and coming in and so that, let me back up. They target primarily seniors and those who may have a home as a second home. And the homes are often paid off. And what occurs is they come in and file deed to the home, and then they claim the home as their property. We have to record that. They take that recording, they go to a bank, they take out a loan on the home, they rent the home, they go live in the home. It is pretty standard, and there's a variety of ways that they do it. It's not one single way, and I'm happy. I would love to come sit down with you with the team to go through each one, Commissioner.
Thank you. Commissioner Sachs.
Clerk Abruzzo, I look forward to working with the clerk's office and making sure. We had a number of people come before this board in matters of the public, and it was heartbreaking. So I think that this, with your background and this issue in the clerk's office, it'll be very helpful to us on the board to tackle that issue. So thank you so much for bringing that up. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
You're welcome. And to bring this full circle, Clerk Abruzzo, welcome to the BCC side of the building. Your start date, just to remind everyone, will be August 19th, 2025, which will be our first board meeting next month. So, thank you. Are we good? We're good? Thank you, sir. Okay. We are now on to regular agenda item 7, which is Beach Sound.
We will start with a presentation by the applicant.
How many trees do we think?
I'm sorry?
I don't know what this is, but there's a lot of trees.
It's a lot of trees.
A lot of trees.
It's a lot of trees.
Well, I was listening to Mr. Abruzzo, thinking there's got to be a way to electronically work on some of that stuff. So I'll call him, Commissioner Sachs. I'll tell him let's save some trees. Good morning, Mayor, members of the commission. Oh, sorry, Derek.
Yeah, could we do the disclosures before he begins his presentation?
Okay, we'll start on this end. Commissioner Powell.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I have had conversation with, verbal communication with Jeff Atwater, Josh Long, Tom McNicholas, Seth Bain, and Matt Forrest.
Any emails and letters and all that kind of stuff? Filed with the clerk?
They're filed with the clerk. Too many to count. Too many to count.
Thank you. Commissioner Weiss.
Thank you, Mayor. I had verbal communications with Jeff Atwater, Josh Long, Tom McNicholas. I had a Zoom call with Seth Ben and several residents of the adjacent buildings. I have email correspondence filed with the clerk.
Thank you. Vice Mayor Baxter.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I spoke with Seth Ben, Ed O'Sullivan, Matt Forrest, Josh Long, Jeff Atwater, Tabby Stickler, Tom Nicholas. No site visit, received emails that have been filed with the clerk.
Thank you. Commissioner Woodward.
Thank you, Mayor. I had verbal communication with Seth Ben, Jeff Atwater, Josh Long, Tom McNicholas, and Matt Forrest, and email correspondence filed.
Thank you. Commissioner Sacks.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. On item number 7, Beach Sound, in-person meeting with Jeff Atwater, Thomas McNicholas, Josh Long. I've received and filed emails and letters, and we've just been, I think we've just been copied with a number of these emails this morning before the meeting commenced. Thank you.
Hold on one second. On the agenda? You got it? Okay. Never mind. Thank you. Okay, for me, I had verbal communications with Matt Forrest, Jeff Atwater, Tom McNicholas, Josh Long, Brian Seymour, George Gentile, John Bauman, Seth Ben, Ed O'Sullivan, Amanda Elia, and I have filed emails, letters, and photos with the clerk and have seen the property. Thank you very much. Mr. Seymour, you're up at bat.
Thank you very much, Mayor. Members of the Commission, Vice Mayor, it's a pleasure to be here this morning on behalf of PK Beach Sound for what is your first of a type waiver, which I'll talk about in a minute. We have with us members of our development team from 2GHO, 10 Design Architects, Keshavar's Associates, Beach Sound, Coulter, as well as our foundation contractor, in case after you hear the worries about the foundation, you want to ask them about deep soil mixing. It's fascinating stuff. But we have them here, and as well a member of the CAST team in case you have those questions later. The presentation this morning, I'll start a little bit with some background and then turn it over to Josh Long. Josh is a member of the American Institute of Certified Planners. He is an expert on these issues and has been working very closely with the engineers, architects to make sure that everything that you hear today is accurate. So as I said, this is the first of its kind. I'm not going to go through all of this. We did this about a year ago. When we were before you, we talked about this, but a lot of this started with the Surfside tragedy, and we're not going to go back through that, but we're all very familiar with that, and the laws that started to change relative to condominiums that raised a lot of questions for a lot of condo owners in these older condominiums. Not everybody, but some, and everybody's in a unique situation. Somebody may be in a great possibility, someone may not be. Everybody has their properties, their property rights. They make those decisions, except that the state said you have to do certain things. And that's evolved over the last few years. There was some more changes this legislative session. But that really started this issue. It brought to light the need to deal with some of those changes because people hadn't just frankly kept up. And so we've come to a situation for a lot of folks, they have two options. Either lose everything or try to sell out and see what options they have. But it's not always so simple. So what happens is these condominiums, and this one particularly was built in the 80s. These are decades old, and all the rules changed since then. You have a change in the coastal construction line, you have a change in setbacks, you have a change in wetlands, you have a change in dunes, you have all kinds of rules, drainage, landscaping, floodplain, that impacts whether you could even build back what you have, much less anything different, new, modern, better. And so 2 years ago, we started this process, maybe a little over 2 years ago, we started this process for this type 2 waiver. And you all took the lead in this county and said, look, we need to provide some alternatives. We need to provide some flexibility. At that time, by the way, when we presented you with this type 2 waiver, we showed you what this building would sort of look like, right? We had a rough graphic of how these setbacks would work, which is what actually is before you today. But you can see in July of last year, so just over a year ago, you approved the type 2 waiver, and this is now your first waiver request. And there's 2 different waivers that are in the code and that are before you. One is what are called the additional setbacks, and the other is the front setback. So there's a 25-foot front setback that can be waived down to 20 feet. And then there is what are these additional setbacks, which are typically 1-to-1 that go from 1 to 7.5 feet. So you can see in the code the way that you've adopted it, these are two separate things. The first, additional setbacks pursuant to Article 3D1E2A, and then secondly and separately the minimum front setback in 3D1A. And both of those are before you today. The standards that apply, excuse me, sorry. I have a scar that's covered and it keeps coming off. I had surgery on my neck. I got a little distracted there. Now, where was I? Okay. So the waiver standards are basically the same. And so what we're going to do now, and I'm going to turn this over to Josh at this point to walk you through those standards, show you the site, what's around it in real time. And what you're going to see are photorealistic renderings based on accurate representations of what the building will look like. They were scaled, they were done right. That's what you're going to see, all the analysis that was done. Like I said, we've spent over a year on this. And so with that, what I'd like to do is turn it over to Josh and have him walk through the standards.
Thank you, Brian. For the record, Josh Lawn with Coulter. I'm going to go through some of the technical slides and be looking up at that screen there as I go through these. But prior to reviewing the standards, we'd like the record to reflect that we agree with the zoning department's analysis of our application, which determined that our application does comply with all the required waiver standards. So first, let's get into the standards. So before we get into the standards, actually, I would like to walk around the property a little bit with you and discuss the compatibility. That's really the main issue here. So what you see on the screen here is on the left, you have the site plan, which demonstrates the building's location as situated on the property. As you can also see, this just represents that the enhanced landscaping will go around the property. This is just one of many updates to the ULDC in regards to what's changed from the 80s to now. Throughout our site, we'll have well over 40 new trees in the side setback, front setback, even across the street. And as you'll see from some of the images, when many of the condos along this stretch of the county were approved, landscaping was essentially really not a thing yet, and you'll see that they're very devoid of landscaping. We're going to be bringing landscaping. We're going to be bringing a modern building. But the image that you have on the right, I'd like for you to visualize what we are providing to the street and what actually is going to front the street. So we are providing a lobby and then 3 floors of residential. We do not have any surface parking. All of our parking is going to be submerged, underground parking. So the presence along the pedestrian realm, as people are walking or driving by, we'll see our beautiful building with the lobby, front landscaping, and then 6 floors of residential. In context to the buildings that are to our north and to our south, the image on my right is the building to the south, which also presents a ground floor lobby and then 7 floors of residential. The building that is to our north provides a ground floor lobby and then 8 floors of residential. So as you can see, we provide a lobby with 6 floors of residential, which is compatible with what is built in this particular part of the county. As you go up and down the street, what is built there and what exists today, what's been there for decades, are mid-rise condominium buildings. And that is what we're providing, is a mid-rise condominium building. These are just Google images of the other buildings that exist within this immediate area. So here's a Google Street View. This is looking south. As you can see, the presence of the street as you look up and down the street, or you're walking or driving up and down the street, you see the mid-rise buildings. You see very sparse landscaping, once again, because the landscape codes of the 80s did not require that much landscaping. So what you have in front of these buildings in these setbacks is surface parking and drive aisles that are, in some cases, all the way up to the property line for the side setbacks for some of these properties. So one of the requirements of the application is that our architects have to draw a 2-scale representation for visual impact analysis. So they evaluate all the properties in this area. They get the exact dimensions of the lot, the exact dimensions of the buildings, and then they create a scale model, which is given to the zoning department so they can review and determine the compatibility. This image here, you can actually see how the 1 to 7.5 setback actually reduces the size of the building and creates more light and air around the building, and is also in scale with the existing buildings, the mid-rise condominium buildings that are in this area. This next image is an actual rendering, which shows a true picture that was taken from a drone, and then we went to scale and we added our building in relation to the other buildings. So as you can see, if you're going up and down the street, there's mid-rise condos. Our building's a mid-rise condo, and it's going to fit in seamlessly with this neighborhood. So now we'll get into some of the actual technical standards. I'll go through all three of these this morning. So first, does not create additional conflicts with other ULDC requirements. The proposed development meets the elements of the ULDC, but for the setbacks for which the waiver is sought. The use is permitted in this district. The waiver sought for this project does not create any additional conflicts with the ULDC, as the development's form, massing, and use are in line with the permitted standards. As a sustainable medium-density residential development, the waiver will help maintain the architectural harmony and visual integrity of the surrounding environment while optimizing the building space for the condominium units. The second one, this waiver will not cause a detriment to the overall design and development standards. Here again, this is consistent with the design and development standards of the ULDC. The only deviation being requested is the Type 2 waiver. Everything else is directly compliant with the code. And third, alternative design does not impact adjacent properties. This waiver is only to allow what the BCC put in place almost a year to the date, to allow a permissible height to setback ratio above a certain level. The height itself comes only as the building setback increases. This still provides 71 feet between the proposed building and existing building to the north, and 57 feet between the proposed and existing building to the south. The setback waiver will not adversely impact adjacent properties. So now we get into Article 2B7D6. The first 6 criteria, I've separated them on this screen, are really factual criteria. That obviously we are a multifamily, greater than 35 feet, abutting the Atlantic Ocean. We have the proper zoning and density. The remaining 4 criteria are more technical, and I'll explain those in greater detail. Consistency with the comprehensive plan. The proposal is not only consistent with, but really furthers many elements of the comprehensive plan, particularly as is an older condominium building being replaced with a new resilient building. In addition to the consistency with the underlying high-density residential land use, the project complies with several other elements, which I've listed just a few of them here, that deal with shoreline ecosystem, coastal vegetation, flood resistance. Next, consistency with the code. As mentioned previously, the only waiver sought is for setbacks. And as identified by the site plan submitted with this application, the proposed project is not in conflict with any portion of the code, nor any other local, state, or federal regulation. To the contrary, the redevelopment will replace an existing building that does not meet those regulations. And next, compatibility with surrounding uses. This does not require sameness of each building, not as to height nor design in general. Indeed, the entire concept of the additional setback is to provide some variety, which can exist based on the varied lots in the vicinity. It is also not about just the immediately adjacent properties. Even though looking at them alone, it is compatible, the immediate area surrounding the subject property is built with multi-mid-rise condominium buildings built at 12 units per acre with variable heights and setbacks. This is consistent along the entirety of Beach Road, including those within the village of Tequesta to the south of us. Our proposed building is higher than the current building, but it is consistent with the other mid-rise condominiums within the area. Next, with changed circumstances. As discussed in great detail when we were getting the text amendment, there have been many changes to various codes and elements that require consistent or a changed circumstance. Many of these have occurred since the building was developed in 1984, including the coastal construction line, the FEMA flood map regulations, the Florida Building Code, especially for condo construction after Hurricane Andrew, and changes in the ULDC. In conclusion, as mentioned at the beginning of the presentation, this is the first waiver of this type that has come before you. The county adopted this waiver with this property in mind. The proposed waiver meets the requirements of this code. So therefore, we are asking today for a motion to approve a Type 2 waiver application, and we would like to reserve time to address any rebuttals. Thank you.
Thank you. Does staff have anything they want to add?
I don't think there's anything additional beyond what we have in our staff report.
Okay, thank you. Now, we have close to 20 cards, which is normally the threshold to changing the allotted time per person speaking, and I do have Mr. Ben and Mr. Blackman who have requested additional time. So I'm asking those that put in a card to be respectful of the time. If you're in favor, say it quickly. If you're opposed, say it quickly, because we have close to 20 cards. So at this time, we're going to call up, yes, Seth Ben and Wes Blackman. Seth, I said 5 minutes, so we're giving you 5.
Okay. As I said, your permitted rules for quasi-judicial do allow for additional time for association representatives, which is me and our expert witness, Mr. Blackman, so I appreciate that. I also have some binders of evidence I'd like submitted in the record. These are mostly items from the public record and Mr. Blackman's slides and records. So if I could have these distributed to the board, I would appreciate it. Go that way, I think. Brian, I have one for you too.
Thank you.
Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Seth Bain. I'm a shareholder with Lewis, Longman & Walker here today on behalf of my client, the Claridge Jupiter Island Condominium Association, the adjacent property to the north. Today's hearing is quasi-judicial. You're here to review the facts in front of you today and the record and make a determination as to whether this presentation, this waiver, as you've heard, this is the first one, meets the requirements. As a quasi-judicial hearing, you're required to look at the evidence before you to determine if there's competent substantial evidence. Is there evidence that, in fact, the zoning codes have been met? First, I want to say they have pointed out that they're asking for 2 waivers. That one waiver was for a front setback reduction of 5 feet and then an additional setback waiver. Reading the plain language of the code, we believe they're limited to a 5-foot front setback reduction. That is, in fact, what their original application asked for. When staff pointed out that your actual requirement for your front setback is 100 feet, they hurriedly resubmitted their application and makes the statement that they can ask for both of those waivers for the front. Your code's explicit, front setback waivers permitted to be 5 feet. More to the point, when they resubmitted that application, there was no additional analysis of that additional waiver. These waivers are to be considered separately if they are both to be permitted to go through, and you've got to provide that analysis. You have adopted new standards for this waiver process. We did that last July, as you said. At that hearing, and I have the transcript in that document there, the question was raised by this board. There's a compatibility with the surrounding neighborhood and vicinity. What's that going to mean, staff? And staff said at the time, they said, it's up to the board and staff, scale, mass, and character. That's what we are to look at. So what's been looked at in your agenda? We've got a justification statement that uses the word scale exactly once, saying it respects the established urban scale. That's a conclusion. That's not an analysis of the surrounding vicinity. The staff report doesn't mention scale at all, other than the note that at the Zoning Commission, several people objected to the project and mentioned that scale was a concern. Where's mass in this discussion and analysis? The waiver in the justification statement, it says the development's form, massing, and use are in line with the permitted standards. Well, the standard is to be in line with the surrounding community. And where's that analysis? Staff report reiterated the tapering mass comment that you've heard from today, but again, that's not examining the surrounding area. The justification statement says compatibility with the surrounding uses. The requirement is that it be compatible and generally consistent with the uses and character of the land surrounding and in the vicinity of the land proposed for development. Their staff report said the building is, most of the buildings in the area are larger and higher. The most are not higher, staff has shown that. And as to whether they're larger, we don't know, because as I pointed out, mass is done. In the binder I gave you, there's one red flag at the top, so I'm not going to drag you through this whole binder. But there's one red flag, and that's this chart. This chart was presented by staff when we brought this new waiver forward. This chart looked at the setbacks of all the surrounding buildings. At the time, staff wanted to make the point that the buildings in this area do not meet the current code requirement, and thus this waiver process is necessary to allow some flexibility because none of these buildings could be rebuilt. Okay, good standard. However, what this chart also showed was the amount that all of these buildings were off. How far off were they from their setbacks? There's a range. That range is anywhere from 3 feet short to 29 feet short. There's this analysis in here of what the character of the setbacks is like in the area. That's not in our staff report today. That's not in the applicant's presentation. They're asking for a 75-foot side setback waiver, wildly out of character with what's here. And then this chart doesn't have anything about front setbacks. Obviously, somebody could have done that analysis. What's the average setback? Our expert, Wes Blackman, will talk about that fact. But the reality is they haven't shown it anywhere in this additional waiver request because the requirement's 100 feet. They're asking for a waiver all the way down to 20 feet. They're asking for an 80-foot front setback waiver. Is that at all inconsistent or character of the neighborhood in front of them? The answer is no. In conclusion, these are extraordinary requests. Their conclusory statements do not meet your code requirement. The competent substantial evidence in the record points to one conclusion. This building is entirely out of character with the land surrounding and in the vicinity. And now I'll introduce you to our planning expert, Wes Blackman, whose report is in your materials. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Good
I'm
morning.
sorry, hold on one second. Commissioner Powell, do you want your question answered now or after Mr. Blackman's presentation?
We can wait until.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Good morning, Mayor and Commissioners. My name is Wes Blackman. I'm part of the American Institute of Certified Planners and have been for almost 40 years. I'm with CWB Associates, which is my own firm based in Lake Worth Beach. And I'm here today on behalf of the Claridge Jupiter Island Condominium Association. This is the owner of the adjacent property to the north of the subject property. I have a 40-year career in urban planning, and some of you may remember me as the longtime chair of the former Land Development Regulation Advisory Board, which reviewed and made recommendations to the BCC on changes to the Unified Land Development Code. I prepared a white paper in response to today's request from Beach Sound, which is included in the binder prepared by Mr. Bain. Before I address the standards for granting a Type 2 waiver, I'd like to point out footnote number 8 on table 3D1A, the plain reading of which states RHRM zoned beachfront properties may request a Type 2 waiver for up to a 5-foot reduction in front setback, period. In my opinion, any request over that amount is disqualified by this footnote. But we're here today to discuss how these requests address two sets of standards. One that is general to all Type 2 waivers, and one that is specific to RH zoned beachfront properties. Do we have the slides available?
I haven't approved slides and you can't show them, I'm sorry.
Lisa, that was the slides I sent to you.
You have to ask the mayor, I don't have the authority. All I do is I review them to see if they're available to be shown on Channel 20. You have to ask the mayor if you want slides shown.
How long is your slideshow?
It's just going to be part of my presentation, part of my 3 minutes.
Go right ahead.
So, I expect to be cut off. There are two standards that we expect to meet. If we could go to the next slide, please. We're going to focus on 2 of the 8 standards. There are a total of 8, 4 for the general and 4 for the specific. For both sets, the ULDC states explicitly that, quote, a request which fails to meet any of these standards shall be deemed adverse to the public interest and shall not be approved. Let's address will not adversely impact adjacent properties. This is, in essence, why I'm here today. The Claridge property's pool and deck area is shown to be in shadow for most on the day of the winter solstice. A looming 110-foot residential tower featuring floor-to-ceiling windows will compromise the privacy of residents and guests at the adjacent property. The proposed tapering of the Beach Sound residential tower does nothing to alleviate the impact to the property. These requests adversely impact neighboring properties. If we could just go through the slides, and I'll use the rest of my time. This is the strip, the Beach Road strip, showing the 7 properties, and the highlighted property is Beach Sound. The property to the north is the Claridge. In this particular slide, you can see the pool area of the Claridge, my client's property, which will be in the full shade during most of the day during the winter solstice. This is what looks like a commercial building to me. It looks more like Phillips Point. This is not a residential
That's not a very
structure.
good rendering, but continue. That's
Well,
not to scale,
I'm-
but continue.
This is my opinion. And there's severe loss of property for the adjacent property owners too. And the massing is part of, the density is not increasing, and I understand that, but massing is an issue, and to have the top 2 floors consist of 2 very large units creates to the mass and to the shadowing effect on adjacent properties. And clearly here with this graphic, you can see that this building requires, by your code, by the ULDC, a larger property. And I'd like to touch on the aspect of the changing conditions in terms of regulation. That's a concern because whatever you approve here for this particular property is going to set the future development pattern for this Beach Road area. And do we want to see other buildings like this up and down this unique unincorporated county piece of Barrier Island? And any parting thought? That's my time. Thank you.
Do you have a parting thought you'd like to share?
No, I'll reserve that.
Thank you. Commissioner Powell, your light was on, now it's off. Would you like to ask a question?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I think a portion of my question was actually answered, and it relates to the adverse impact on adjacent properties. And Mr. Blackman kind of went into that in a little bit of detail of what he thought. Can you elaborate a little bit more? And then I'd like to also hear from the applicant in terms of, because that's not something that staff had identified as an adverse impact on adjacent properties, but Mr. Bain has.
There are some additional residents here to speak today, and I know that some of them are prepared to talk about some of the residents that live there that have some of those concerns and have looked at it. Their concerns include the wind corridor that's being created here, the impacts to the pool, the loss of privacy. In the record, I've got an example of one property owner who recently sold, who in the last year, just the mere specter of this building saw a value destruction of over $1 million to his property. So there's extraordinary impacts to the value. There's a gentleman that just bought a building unit on the south side of the project, and he's extraordinarily distraught about the specter that's
Let's
before him
stick to
today.
the matter at hand.
Yeah, but there's others here to talk today, so I think you're going to hear some of that from the residents. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Sachs, your light was on also.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Good morning, Mr. Bain. Your expert came up and said, gave us some pictures, and I believe one of the commissioners said, was that to scale? It's very important to me. Was that to scale
So
or not?
it absolutely was. We took the architectural plans were submitted to the county as part of their application. They have to submit that in a digital format. We hired an architectural firm to render it because all of their examples always show that dead-on straight view, and you don't get a sense at all of what that extremely small front setback feels like from the road. And you don't get a feel for where their property lines are. They show the big view and you see this gap between the buildings and it looks fine. Well, that gap is here and then here. And so we wanted that.
Excuse me for interrupting you, but I will. Your renderings are correct.
Correct.
And their renderings are correct.
They are. We just
Okay,
show
I
it
just,
from an
no,
angle.
I just want to be sure
Yep.
that I'm looking at the same picture. So I'll
Absolutely.
refer back to that when they have a time to
Yeah,
rebut.
the
And second, just one
architectural-
second, just want to make sure, that I want to see an accurate rendering of the building from all sides, and not anything that would be not completely accurate about that, with regard to the wind corridors, with regard to the shade that was going to affect other buildings. So I'll reserve that. I just want to make sure that
Right.
your renderings are absolutely correct.
Things like color or materials of the building, those might not be entirely accurate. Like,
No,
we
no,
don't
I
know,
saw
but the
photos.
scale
Sir,
of it.
I am
but the
speaking,
scale-
sir.
Yeah,
Thank you, Mr. Bain. It's not a courtroom.
scale's perfect.
But if it is, I'm the judge right now. I just want to be sure that your rendering was correct
It
today.
is.
That's it. Thank you, sir.
Commissioner Woodward.
Thank you, Mayor. And I have an additional question to what Commissioner Sachs just asked about the rendering. Are the buildings, the other buildings in that rendering, are they accurate to scale?
Mass, we blocked out the mass of it, so they're accurate as to the size. You saw they're just big white blocks. We didn't hire them to add all the details to that. But as far as where they're set back from the property line and their height, it is accurate.
Okay, because the picture that in our Zoom meeting, and you showed it again today, and today is quasi judicial, you all took an oath to make sure that what you tell us is the truth. I need to know, because the rendering that we saw from the applicant, the rendering that we saw from you, they are not the same. They are different. And I need to know which one, if either, is accurate.
Yeah. Is that the difference that we have and why we created this model is to show you that angle, because none of their images show you an angle of the building where you get a sense for how far back it's set from the road. It's either straight on or not at all.
Okay, I'm having a bit of a problem with that, because I even know when I take a selfie at a certain angle, I can make myself look very skinny or very fat. So angles,
There's no fat.
Disagree with the last part.
Me too.
it's possible to do this. So if we're talking angles, again, this is a very important decision for this board to make, and we need to work with reality and accurate information. And if we're being funny with angles, I will take umbrage with that.
No, ma'am, not being funny, just giving you an opportunity to see how the building references the front road, and all of that was taken directly from their survey and their building plans that were submitted to the county.
And your buildings are to scale?
Correct.
So, Madam Mayor, if I may, we've actually had our architect evaluate that, and we can actually show why it's off and where it's off, including the curb line and the locations of those massed buildings. They didn't take an aerial, they didn't go out and take pictures, they massed it. So we can show you that. We could do it now, we could do it later, but we do have a graphic that shows where those are off.
Now would be great.
Can we pull our PowerPoint back up? Slide 24. Slide 24. And I'm going to let, because this is technical and I'm the lawyer, I'm going to let Josh do this. He worked on this with the architects, so he can walk through this.
For the record, Josh Lawn. So as you may recall from my presentation, part of the application we had to submit to the zoning was that we had to create a to-scale representation of all the buildings on this section of street. Remember the black and white document I showed and then the actual rendering? So our architect had in their system the exact dimensions for every lot and every building in the area. So when we obtained this document after the zoning commission hearing, we sent it to our architect who had everything in scale and asked them to send us back a correct representation of where the buildings actually are built to and exist. So what you have here today, what you see, actually represents the actual size and mass of the other adjacent buildings and the actual location of the property lines in relation to our project. So this is from our architect, remember, who already has every building, lot, dimension, and actual construction documents to create that image that was required for the zoning analysis. So that's what you're seeing here.
And yet if they had that, none of that was submitted into the record, and this drawing shows that our rendering of their building is spot on. Maybe the road's curb is slightly further out, but it does reflect that our rendering of their building
The
is
setback is wrong. If you see the red line, you can see that there's a misrepresentation with the setback.
So I don't think it's up to us, and Seth and I could spend the rest of the day here arguing about this. The point is, what was done was done. We're not saying that the rendering of our building is wrong, to be clear. Seth, you're right. Our building is right. The lines show the rest of it. You all have the evaluation that you need to make to use Commissioner Sachs's point, as the judges of the evidence. You make those determinations based on that.
Thank you. Commissioner Woodard, do you have additional questions?
And I don't know if our staff has had a chance to look at this, because we have, two very different sides. And looking at this, and you managed to get the building that we're voting on perfectly to scale. The fact that I'm seeing very, very different images for the neighboring buildings, it gives me great pause on this. And, if I don't like feeling like I'm being misled by this image. So that is all I'll say about this.
Thank you. Commissioner Weiss and then Vice Mayor Baxter.
Thank you, Mayor. Couple of questions. Mr. Blackman referred to a table or so during your presentation that went very quickly. I didn't. What table specifically are we talking
He's
about?
referring to the property development regulations table in your code. It's part of your standard regulation code that was amended at the last July hearing. So Chapter D of Article 3 is Table 3D1A, Property Development Regulations. This is your standard setback chart. The footnote is footnote
Hang on.
7.
Wait. Before, I want to write down that number so I can try and find it. What was the table
So it's
number?
Table 3D1A.
3B1A.
In Article 3. So
D as in David.
D as in David.
I'm getting old.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then it's footnote 8.
Footnote 8. Okay. All right, thank you. And then when you showed us this slide, this one, and I noticed that the most southern part of the of that, because there's a group of 7 buildings in that area, the most southern one is missing. Was that intentional?
I don't know that it was. I think it was made to show what the consistent setbacks are in this area. We did analysis of all the front setbacks. So this is showing kind of the general visual wall along that area. But if there were an analysis of the front setbacks, which there's none to be found in the justification statement or staff's presentation, it would show that every building on this area is set back significantly further than 20 feet that they're proposing.
Right, but that's where all their parking is too, right?
Some of the
Most
buildings,
of them
yes.
have their parking in the front and some have it on some side parking.
That's correct. Yeah. In this case, 2 floors of underground parking, wildly uncomfortable.
Thank you. Commissioner Weiss, any more questions?
No, thank you.
Vice Mayor Baxter.
Wait, I'm looking, staff is,
Yeah, Note 8 was revised with the beachfront properties waiver addition last year, and we added to Note 8 a sentence that said RH and RM zoned beachfront properties may request a Type 2 waiver for up to a 5-foot reduction in front setback. This application is asking for a 5-foot reduction in front setback. I don't understand the lack of consistency with this sentence.
Thank you.
thank you.
Vice Mayor.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. If staff would please bring up the rendering again with the red lines. Yeah, but it had that one. Thank you. So the buildings north and south of this, so according to the applicant, the actual size of the buildings are outlined in red. Is that correct, Mr. Seymour? Or Josh, either one.
Yes, Madam Vice Mayor.
And so it's actually much larger, it looks like, if this is correct. Now, I guess, is it your testimony that these lines are wrong, or is it that you think those lines include extras that you saying were not included originally?
So the point of this slide, the reason what our focus was to show how this new proposed building references its property lines and its front setbacks. The mass analysis was not the point of this slide, and to the point, there was no mass analysis in the justification statement, in the words that we heard today, in the staff report. So to the effect that they have
forgive me again
larger
for
masses-
interrupting, but when you say mass analysis, one of the biggest things, even when we had our meeting, was that, this monstrosity of a cruise ship was coming to town. And this shows that it's pretty proportionate to the surrounding structures versus the smaller structures on each side. So if you could clarify that, that'd be great.
Not in terms of its front setback or side setbacks, which is ultimately what we're here to discuss today, is that those are the elements of the character that even with these increased masses, if it's there in contention that those buildings aren't scaled correctly, which I've never seen this before, so I don't know whether that's accurate or not, can't state it. But what is accurate and is reflected is that those setbacks, even at those expanded footprints, our building set back 80 feet from the right-of-way. I think the adjacent building to the south is 90 to 100 feet from the right-of-way. What's being proposed here is 20 feet. That's the character we're here to talk about, and that's what this slide continues to show just as clearly.
I'm going to cut you off for a second, Mr. Because this is public comment, and now we've gotten into more than that. So
Okay.
I'll concede that they're further set back. Not that far set back, but I'll concede they're further set back. They are. That's.
Okay.
I'll talk about it later. I will
Like
have some
every other
rebuttal.
building.
But I don't. But if that's the only point of that, while still inaccurate, yes, we are closer to the road based on the current code requirements than they are. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so we have 15 more cards,
More
17 more cards?
15
Hope the rest don't take that long.
Thank you. And again, as I said, since we have had a lot of discussion right now and a lot of back and forth, if you're in favor, you can briefly say you're in favor. If you're opposed, you can briefly say you're opposed. We appreciate it, but we do want to hear your voices. Thank you.
Okay, we have 2 microphones. The first 4 will be Angela Morgan, Kevin Michaels, Bob England, perhaps, sorry, and Patrick Dolezal. If you're here. Oh.
Hello, I'm Angela Morgan, and I am the president of Beach Town, and I also live there. And I am in support of the project. And I just wanted to point out that there was the opposition complaining about the views and their sunlight being blocked. There is a landmark case, that's the Fontainebleau Hotel versus 4525, excuse me. And it has, I'm very nervous, sorry. And it is, it's on point that there is no such thing as air rights or a right to a view. So the building that blocks their sun, this building that will block their sun, it happens all the time. Thanks.
Thank you.
Good morning. Thank you for letting me speak. My name is Patrick Dolezal. I'm in support of the project. I've been a developer in South Florida for 2+ decades, not residential, but retail. I've developed in Palm Beach County, Broward, Martin, Dade, Monroe, and have dealt with all of the issues that you guys are talking about today. And I appreciate your time and your candor on it. A couple of points that I just want to make real quick, and I'll let you get back to the other comments, is the density here is something that is existing. The amount of units are the same in the development. The project does not look to increase the density on this particular site. The buildings on this site are well past their useful lives. We've heard testimony about, collapses and other things. This is a redevelopment project, an existing developed piece of property that has now reached its life, and it has a new opportunity to become something better. I know the developer and projects that they have built in the past, and I fully support their project. I hope that the commission recognizes that they've worked with the size and the scale and the density and the setbacks and all the things that you're talking about today to make it a better project than what is currently there. And I can tell from the effort that the applicant has put in that they are trying to hit the character and hit the sizing and spacing of the community in that area. So thank you very much for letting me speak, and I'll turn it over to somebody else.
Good morning. My name is Kevin Michaels, and I'm here to speak in favor of the redevelopment of the Beach Sound property here. For a manner of time, I'll forgo my long speech here, but I would ask that the Board of Commissioners approve this project here. My family has been involved with Beach Sound since its very beginning. My father was one of the original developers way back in the early 1980s. It's a very limited amenity condominium compared to pretty much everything else on Jupiter Island. In fact, we do not even have a hot tub, and which is either here nor there. But you kind of get a sense of the idea of what buyers are looking for today, and so this is an opportunity for many or all of the owners that this is really life-changing money for many of them. The opportunities like this do not come along every day. So we're looking forward to that. As Angela Morgan spoke here earlier about the view and the sunlight, nobody at Beach Sound complained when the Claridge building went up and blocked our views. So, and not that it's a tit-for-tat type thing here, but we understand that things happen here, and the people that all the owners of Beach Sound at the time could have gotten together and purchased the property where the Claridge now sits, where some of the people are concerned about their sunlight and their views. So I'd just like to point that out. And again, I'd like to thank the commission and their staff for all the hard work that they've done putting into this. And I'm sure it'll be a very difficult decision, but thank you. And again, I ask you to vote in favor of the redevelopment. Thank you.
I think I'm on next. My name's Robert England, 19911 Beach Road. I live at the Claridge. My speech is pretty quick. I'm against it. I walk the streets with my dog, and it's a beautiful little section. We are in the county. None of the cities want us. We're in this one little zone where the sheriff has to come see us if there's a problem, which they never come because we don't have any problems. It's just a little community. We'd like to keep it straight in line as we have now. We have a ton of landscaping. As the contractor said, the rear of the condos were very poor, very sparse. Well, it's very sparse because it's seagrass, sea grapes. They have sea grapes there because the turtles up there, they come out every year and they tear the seagrass or sea grapes up because they have nests all the way up to the buildings. And if you've ever been there, it looks like bombs were coming. It looked like the whole place got bombed because by the time it is today, you can't hardly walk the beach because there's holes everywhere from the turtles. So I'm not opposed, and we're not opposed to anybody building another building if they want one, but keep it within your own standards. Don't let them change the lines of construction. Leave it like it is, and let them build a building within the reasons we already have. My dad always said, if something smells, it probably stinks. There's something wrong. Well, why are we all here if they just want to put a damn building up? They want to put a huge building, and I'm opposed to it. Thank you very much. Oh, any questions? No? Okay.
Okay, we have Patricia England, Jay Kaiser, Michelle Sylvester, and Nicole Sylvester.
By the way, she's a much better speaker than I am.
That's pretty good.
Not sure about that, but good morning. My name is Patricia England, and he told you we live at 19910, but it's 19950 Beach Road on Jupiter Island. And I'm here today to express deep concern about the proposed rezoning and waiver redevelopment on Jupiter Island, particularly in the Palm Beach County portion where an existing condominium could be replaced with a much larger, denser structure. This isn't just a question of property rights. It's a question of public impact on infrastructure, evacuation safety, and our coastal environment. Jupiter Island is a fragile barrier island with only 2 access points, one bridge to the north, one bridge to the south. It has a 2-lane road and very limited capacity to absorb growth. Expanding the footprint would create heavier traffic, longer evacuation times, strain on aging water and sewer lines, and pressure on emergency services that are already stretched thin in coastal zones. We know what happens when infrastructure is pushed beyond its limits. It doesn't bend, it breaks. And while developers may offer temporary upgrades, the long-term burden will fall on taxpayers, residents, and county systems. The environmental cost is equally troubling. Horizontal expansion on this island threatens sea turtle nesting areas, dune systems that prevent storm surge, and the natural filtration zones that protect our water and marine life from runoff. By increasing the development footprint, you're increasing impermeable surfaces. That means more flooding, more erosion, and less resilience during and after storms. This isn't just one parcel. It's about setting a precedent. If one oversized redevelopment is allowed, others will follow, and the cumulative effect will be irreversible. Please protect the integrity of the island. Protect the infrastructure, the environment, and the balance that has made this island so special.
Thank you.
Reject the zoning and any waivers.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning, I'm Michelle Sylvester. I'm a resident of Beach Sound and in support of this project. As an insurance agent, I'm well aware of the need for better construction. It'll only improve our insurance premiums. Every day I hear it from my customers how they can't get condo insurance because their buildings are so old and their insurance premiums are high or they're being dropped. This new building by Mr. Perko and his team is going to be efficient and it's going to be green, and it's going to be cohesive with the environment. Mr. Perko is an honest builder. He's conscientious. This is a project is an improvement for our community. Resilient construction not only protects the environment, but also fosters a healthier ecosystem and a community. And I support it, and I hope you do too. Thank you.
You have a question for whom? Ms. Sylvester?
Yes.
Mr. Powell, Commissioner Powell has a question for you.
Sylvester, real quick, you indicated you're a resident of Beach Sound?
Yes.
Are you an owner?
Yes.
Are you a renter?
I'm an owner.
The owner of the
Yeah. I
unit?
overlook the pool.
Perfect. With this new development, will you continue to own there, or are you selling so that it can be redeveloped?
I am selling, and I also have another property on Jupiter Island.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Sir, go right ahead.
My name is Jay Kaiser. I live in the Claridge. I'm a relative newbie there. I've been there about 6 months. I've been watching all this excitement here. You guys have a lot of fun. Let me see if I understand what's really happening here. We have a developer who's made an offer to 11 unit owners there who want to make a profit above the market value of their units. Above the market value of their units. If you go with my estimates that the units are worth $2 million now, they've already been paid $500,000. So if you guys turn this down flat today, they've made a 25% profit above the market value. The building they're putting in is 6 times bigger than the building that's there now. 6 times. Same number of units. These units, and again, I'm making up numbers, but you got to have a concept here. If the average unit in there now is 1,500 feet, and this is 6 times bigger, the new unit's going to be 9,000 feet. It's going to have 5 or 6 bedrooms. Where are their kids and grandchildren going to park at Christmas and Thanksgiving and 4th of July and everything else? I'll get to that later. My background is when I was young and frivolous, I built 1,700 units in high-rises in Palm Beach and Broward County. I think I have an understanding of what's happening. The first project I built was 4 27-story towers on 5 acres. Go look at Hollywood, Florida now and see what we did to that. I was young, I didn't know what I was doing, excuse me. The appraised values of properties are based upon sales. One thing all sellers have in common is they sell to the highest bidder. It's not the mean, it's not the median. The value is based upon the highest bidder. The downfall of this project, now this is free advice to the developers who want to build this thing. They don't have enough parking to be successful there. If I paid $11 million and I had 1 parking space for myself and no guest parking, I'm going to have second thoughts about going in there. That's free advice. I mean, you didn't overpay for that. I think this thing is going to be a detriment. I think the long-term result is all the green grass along the road is going to end up parking up and down the street to accommodate all these buildings. If the building's 6 times bigger, it's going to have 6 times more people servicing it. People are going to come over there to play bingo. People are going to come over there to have dinner parties. It doesn't work without the parking. That's going to be what's going to put this thing down. And someplace along the line, I think you should be entitled to the benefit of the bargain of what you bought. And you should be able to have some confidence that that's going to be there. Thank you.
Commissioner Powell?
I appreciate it.
I'm
sure I answered all your questions.
I did have a question regarding the parking. I see a site plan that shows 30 spaces. You indicated there's 1 parking space for each unit. I just want to find out where you got that information from.
I think that's in the plans, isn't it?
We'll let the applicant.
Thank you.
We'll let the applicant answer that question.
But the point is, with units that big, you're going to need more than that.
We got it. Thank you.
Can we get an answer on the number of spaces?
You
Can
sure?
we have the applicant answer the parking question, please?
You want to do it now?
Right now.
Good morning, for the record, Josh Lawn. So we're required to have 24 spots. We have 30, so we are overparked. Okay.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Nicole Sylvester, and I have lived my 24 years of life growing up in Jupiter, a good amount of time spent in Beach Sound. How fortunate I am to have grown up in beautiful South Florida. This topic I speak on behalf of today, which is in support of this project, is very important and heavy to my heart. These were my childhood memories where they were created. And now, as a young professional still working in Jupiter aside my mother, I want to see it protected, strengthened, and it is extremely important that we as a whole keep forever evolving. Respectfully, the buildings are outdated. They do not meet the needs of a modern, resilient coastal community. This redevelopment proposal is beneficial for life safety improvements, storm protection, and long-term planning. In my heart of hearts and in my desire to come together as a whole in peace and understanding for a bigger purpose, these are things every individual should be on board with and consider. I have been extremely connected to Beach Sound, and I truly have seen the transparency, respect, and beneficial benefit that this process has brought. The team has simply worked with the community, not against it. Development should be looked upon with integrity, deep care, and commitment to embracing change. Change is very necessary. Thank you for your time.
Okay, the next 4 cards, we have Ed, Ed O'Sullivan, Janine Cockady, Stephen Kassock, and Jason Biondi. Apologize if I've brutalized your names.
And we have 2 microphones.
Wow. Says one thing, this is a very complex project and it's the first one. And I think if I had any advice to give, we need to give it.
Identify yourself, please.
Oh, Ed O'Sullivan, 19950 Beach Road, Claridge. This is the first time I'm seeing right now, and I have a whole speech to give, but I think more importantly is to say, this is a complex project. It's going to have a major impact. Is it bigger? Oh, yes, it's bigger. One of the reasons those things looked out of scale, and when I first saw it from the people coming in, was it didn't quite look right. So I had them run it 3 different times. It's out of scale because that building is over 160 feet long. Not anywhere other building on the whole island is that deep. That's why kind of the perspective is off. But we can take some time and we'll get the experts and figure on that. The other thing I got to say is, what in the heck is wrong with old people or old buildings? My gosh, a building built in '84, to me, that's young. I just restored a couple buildings in Jupiter that were 75 years old, and I'll be doggone, they turned out to be 2 of the most profitable businesses there now. Sometimes saving old things has some value. Got off, but where we started with this, and I started 4 years ago with it, was it started to help people in a building that was under financial hardship. We assumed that. We assumed the same thing, that that building was falling apart. Well, I'll be doggoned. There's no hardship. We found that out through the whole process. That little building, by this report, it's just fine since 1984. The only thing it's lacked for years since I've lived there is any kind of maintenance. It's just, there's a value to saving that building. There's also a value to putting a new building in, if you want one, at the right scale, at the right scope. The damage this building is going to cause, just one example when you were talking about the wind, it's going to cost us, from our wind people, our hurricane people, our building was built under the codes that you have before, that put and made space, made protection. Those are gone now with this waiver. So what's happening is, in this case, we've got all our hurricane systems. Our windows, our shutters are not going to be adequate for the wind speeds coming. So it's going to cost, in the Claridge, about $225,000 for each unit to update to the super modern strength. It's going to cost about $200,000 in Ocean Sound to do the same thing. That's just for one issue. And we can start going into the flooding, and we can start going into a lot of other things that are very complex and very, very dangerous on a site this small. And finally, to close, I agree. The parking is going to be a major issue.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Janine Carodi, and I'm here to speak in support of this project on behalf of JMA Interior Design. As design professionals who have worked extensively in this community for over 25 years, Jackie Armour, owner, and the JMA team want to offer our full support for the Beach Sound redevelopment project and share a few key perspectives from the design world. This project represents a rare opportunity to create something that is both timeless and resilient, with a building that respects its surroundings while raising the bar. The design vision for the new beach sound is sophisticated, modern, and elegant without being excessive or out of scale, which is appropriate for Jupiter Island. The development team has approached this project with care, thoughtfulness, and a commitment to excellence, which can be seen in the details of this project. This is not about maximizing volume, but about maximizing value, beauty, and functionality, and that is why we support it. Thank you for your time.
Hi, good morning. My name is Stephen Kasich. I'm a resident of Ocean Sound, the building to the south of Beach Sound. Before I start, I have a couple questions because there have been some confusing things going on in the presentation. Can I ask those? Is that okay?
This is actually public comment and is not question and answer.
Yeah, well, we had two different numbers sent by the applicant, and then there's an image the applicant has that they cropped for this that would answer your question on scale.
Go ahead and ask your question. It won't get answered right now. The applicant can answer it in their rebuttal.
Great. So the applicant has in their application, small image, I sent each of you an email that includes this image, an image from the Intercoastal that shows, according to their experts, the scale of what we have going on here. Conveniently, the image they showed from the same view today, Commissioner Woodward, if you want to talk about concern about deceptive and lying, the image they showed today had cropped out the buildings on either side. But you have that image from me. It's in the application, and I would suggest that they send it because that'll answer the question of how out of scale this is. So I'm here to urge you to vote, if you hadn't figured that out yet, against granting this waiver to the Beach Sound property. You each have the detailed information I sent before, and I'm not going to go through all of that in the sake of time. Fundamentally, they're building a 10-story building plus 2 stories that go underground into our barrier island. It's just dramatically out of scale. Each story is roughly 25% or more higher than the stories. So even when they say, and he started with it's a 3-story residential, then 6-story residential, so that was part of my question too, what are you actually building? Because what you said is different than what's in the package. But each of those stories is taller, so it's not only the number of stories, each of the stories is 25% taller. If they just fit within the character of what was there, the height of this 110, actually 113 height building, 40% taller than my building to the south of it. So scale-wise, it's 40% taller, 39.5 if we want to be precise. Really demonstrates because they're increasing these heights. But most importantly, this development simply doesn't qualify for a waiver. Let's remember, this entire process was put in place by this developer specifically for this property. And while they made farcical comments that this waiver process will apply to all 7 buildings, it's doubtful any of the other buildings will ever go there. If they do, imagine what we look like. We're going to start looking like a very different area. We're going to look like Fort Lauderdale, not Jupiter. But even more extraordinary is that despite the fact that they handcrafted this waiver process in order to achieve exactly what they wanted, the building they're trying to apply it to does not qualify. Why are we even talking about giving a waiver to a building that does not qualify, a building that has passed its milestone analysis? The objective, and I quote from one of the earlier hearings, to create a process. Why is the waiver process in existence? To create a process, provide an avenue for existing property owners. May I please continue, because I think we started earlier?
Actually, your time is up. We've been very lateral with giving people a little bit of time. If you can conclude quickly, and quickly is quickly.
I will conclude very quickly. This building fails every aspect, but most importantly, in order for it to qualify for a waiver, it must require redevelopment. This building does not require redevelopment. I urge you to follow the regulations and reject this waiver.
I have a question.
Sure.
My question is for staff in regards to whether or not this building qualifies under this waiver that we put in a year ago. Can you address that, please?
Yes, it does qualify.
Thank you.
So, to be clear though, what the qualifications that he is referring to about it has to be redeveloped, is that part of the requirement?
The reason we established this waiver is because none of the buildings along the corridor, the 7 properties, could be knocked down and rebuilt with the existing footprints. None of them could. They all are smaller to the perimeter than the code currently allows, because since the early 80s, the code got more restrictive. In order to qualify to ask for this waiver, you have to have RH/RM zoning. This site has that. You have to be located as one of these 7 properties. This site has that. As far as the standards for the waiver that you have to meet, there's an analysis. I think there's 4 regular ones or 3 regular ones, and then the 3 additional ones. It meets in staff recommendation all of those standards to be able to ask for the waiver. The fact that it hasn't fallen down or been knocked down yet or have fallen down is not a requirement to be able to ask for the waiver.
Okay, so I did want to be clear. When we put this into place, we did not require that it be condemned, so to speak.
Correct.
Like it is a choice.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm sorry, may I read the language?
Thank you, sir. Your time is up.
It says it must necessitate a redevelopment. Necessitate a redevelopment. That is verbatim from the regulation.
Sir.
Hey, good morning. Jason Biondi, 19670 Beach Road, resident and owner at the Sea-Watch building. Thank you for this robust conversation and discourse. Based on the developer's commitment to preserving and maintaining the dune infrastructure, the dune ecosystem, their commitment to a high-level certification using a green building certification program, and their willingness to monitor and mitigate structural concerns during the construction activities to the neighborhood and the surrounding buildings. I'm in support of this project. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
We have the last 3 cards will be Ray Marciano, John Islito, and Jonathan Chain.
Good morning. A lot's been said here. My name is Ray Marciano. I am a resident of Beach Sound, 19900 Beach Road, apartment 201. My family has owned that property since 1988. I'm a 20-year veteran in the U.S. Navy and proud to be here, and thank you for your time. Earlier this week, I sent each one of you a detailed letter. I think to Mr. Kasak's point he was trying to make at the end, and I disagree with what your staff has shared. According to your waiver, this building does not even qualify. It says in what is required is the change conditions or circumstances that necessitate a redevelopment in order to address government regulations that have been changed since the initial construction. Those are the words. There is nothing that says it must be rebuilt. It is like saying your seatbelt in the front of your car that you are required to wear has been cut. And in order to fix it, you must go buy a new car, which we all know is not true. So we violated the fundamental rule that you have in here with regards to qualifying for it. The other thing it says is that the owners must be the people applying, and they must be the builder. The owners lack jurisdiction. The owners are not building this property. It is being subcontracted to somebody else. That subcontractor doesn't have jurisdiction to apply for you here. It says that, I think the other thing that we need to be aware of is a new building could be constructed on this property that does not require a waiver. Absolutely could be if we wanted to. You don't require the waiver. We don't require violating the setbacks that we've been talking through, one of which we haven't spoken about much, which is the side setback. Side setback requirement is, according to the rules, is 100 feet. You can waive it. There's an additional waiver that is in here that allows you to reduce that. The reduction in that waiver, given the height of the building, is 25 feet. At its base, it's 15. A couple of things that we've mentioned, and some of my colleagues who live in the building with me have asked us to remind ourselves. We're building a 2-story underground garage. That underground garage will be within 30 yards of the sea turtle nesting, within 70 yards of the ocean. There's going to be sump pumps down there to evacuate the water, which is going to create vibrations into the sand, vibrations into the building as we go forward. We've talked about the hurricane, about winds. What this building will do to my building is it'll put Category 5 winds against the side of my building in a Category 1 storm. But I want to reiterate, this building doesn't even qualify according to the rules that we have. Thank you very much for your time.
Good morning, Mayor and Commissioners. My name is Jonathan Chain, and I represent Ed and Karen Ratto, who are owners of Unit 301 at Beach Sound. They asked me to come this morning to read a statement on their behalf. We are owners of Beach Sound, and we have not consented to this change in zoning. We also do not consent to any variance changes submitted for our property, and we object to any plans that entail demolishing the existing building. We believe that we are here because it was misrepresented that this variance was needed due to a financial hardship with Beach Sound and our association members becoming compliant with the new condominium regulations. Any and all of these representations, as well as any implication that this building needs to be demolished due to safety issues, are simply false. It is troubling, to say the least, that the tragedy at Surfside is and has been used as justification for this variance. We'd ask the commissioners to ask these questions. Why is the developer invoking Surfside here? What is the basis, or are they simply preying on fear? Because Beach Sound undertook their obligation for their required milestone inspections. Specifically, UES Milestone Inspections LLC completed its inspection on March 11th of 2025, just a few months ago. And the summary of the findings was, and I quote, "Based on the Phase 1 inspection, no indications of substantial structural condition were seen that would negatively affect the building's general structural condition and integrity. Unsafe or dangerous conditions were not observed. A Phase 2 milestone inspection is not recommended," unquote. Furthermore, Beach Sound is financially stable with adequate reserves, no plans for special assessments, and it's projecting a nominal 3% annual increase in 2026 to comply with the SIRS report and meet any future maintenance needs. Thus, the idea that this building needs to be replaced for safety or financial reasons is simply not credible. Furthermore, the other owners who have been here today that are speaking in favor of this project are doing so even though they will not be living in this building any longer, and are being paid what I believe I heard earlier as life-changing money. So we need to take those statements with a grain of salt. And we respectfully request that this variance not be approved. Thank you.
Good morning, Commission. My name is John Islib. I've spent many years in this part of Palm Beach County and care deeply about the community. That's why I'm supporting Beach Sound redevelopment. This isn't just another development. This is a first-in-class proposal tailored to fit the unique character of our coastal community. I know the development team personally. They've proven themselves to be experienced, trustworthy professionals who care about quality, integrity, and doing the right way. The design is thoughtful. It's not oversized or out of place. It complements the surrounding landscape and neighborhood aesthetic. I understand the scale and feel of this area and can say with confidence that this project won't overshadow neighboring properties. I've seen the plans. They make sense. This is the kind of responsible growth we should be encouraging, investment that adds long-term value and enhances the area to the future. I urge the Commission to move this forward. The project has been approached with care, transparency, and respect for the community. That should matter. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. So that's it for cards. What?
We had 4 non-speaking cards, 1 in opposition, 3 in support. I'll give them to the clerk.
Thank you very much. So we're in a unique position. Actually, I am in a unique position because there isn't much that comes to me for District 1 in redevelopment. But Mr. Seymour, would you like to rebut anything? And I do actually have some questions.
I would appreciate that, Madam Mayor. I also have some handouts. Nick, there's one if you guys want it. And I've got one for the clerk and one for each of you as well.
You talked about killing trees earlier. All you all are killing trees.
That's actually less paper than I had, I promise, that was sitting up here. And it's less than it could be. What is in that are 4 different documents. 2 are representations from Mr. and Mrs. Rado's depositions that were taken in his challenge to the termination of the Beach Sound condo, which I will point out indicate that his attorney's fees are being paid by Mr. O'Sullivan. He's being reimbursed. He has also been offered what he referred to as a $2.6 million insurance policy if his unit doesn't sell by Mr. O'Sullivan as well. That was not in Mr. Chain's points. The point of that is the other document and some of what you heard about what is right, and you heard about wind. The other document is a wind report by an engineer that we retained, who also reviewed the AI-generated wind report that was used to show all the alleged concerns that have been raised today. What that shows is that, in fact, while there is a slight increase in wind, as a result of this, there is no adverse impact associated with the wind. As to the factual statements, allegedly factual statements that Mr. Chain just read into the record, I know nothing's going to happen with this. I object to those. I ask that they not be considered and that be stricken, because I can't ask Mr. Rado the questions about where that information comes from, what it is. There's no ability to cross-examine, which violates my client's due process rights. So all of that should not be considered in any way, shape, or form. So I'm going to end with the shade thing that came up and some of the things so Josh can go through that. But the point is, a lot of what you heard today and the concerns are based on false information that has been produced primarily by Mr. O'Sullivan. He clearly has an agenda. He's offered that $2.6 million. He's paying Mr. Rado back his attorney's fees. And so what's happened is you hear a lot of things that aren't based in fact. Parking, as you heard, is over requirements. You heard people talk about how it's a denser development, that it's going to cause impacts to hurricane evacuations, that it's going to cause impacts to dunes. There's no additional density. We do not go further east than the existing eastern point, which is a requirement of the code. You heard about loss of privacy. But if the building, where does that privacy lay? Is it just one person's or another person's? The building could be higher. You hear about these things, a speculation about somebody's loss of $1 million. We don't have any facts or any basis for any of that. It's an attempt to scare people. And that's unfortunately what's gone on. And then when you talk about the setbacks, you have a completely incongruous statement from Mr. Bain and Mr. Blackman. It's inconsistent because it's not set back as far as everything else is set back. You know why? Because you can't. Because the code requires your maximum setback is 25 feet. And as Mr. Blackman said, we're requesting a waiver to a 20-foot setback. Anybody who redeveloped their property would be required to be much closer than any of those existing buildings. So the argument on compatibility is we don't meet the code, so they shouldn't be allowed to come in at all because they can't meet the code. And that was the point. The regulations have changed. And so you get into this cycle that doesn't really hold any real value. So I do want Josh to talk a little bit about some of the shade questions and the impacts. I think it's worth pointing out, by the way, that from a height perspective, the proposed building is still shorter than the Claridge. So from the height question, it is shorter than the Claridge. It is higher than the building to the south. It is shorter than the building to the north still, a little bit shorter. So I'm going to let Josh talk a little bit, and then we're happy to answer some questions. And
Okay,
I'm trying to rush
I do-
through this, Madam Mayor, because I know you want to get us
Sure.
out of here.
Commissioner Powell, your light is on. Do you want to wait or do you want to ask now? Thank you.
For the record, Josh Lawn. So real quickly in regards to shadows and shade, we did have to provide a shadow study, but that shadow study actually reflects different times of the year. The December 21st is the worst case scenario. Shadows are cast up and down this particular part of the county from other high rises and other pools. So that does occur. However, when you get into the spring, summer, fall, there are no issues with that. So it is a limited time that does occur up and down this area.
Thank you. Lisa, quick question for you.
So I just want to show, can you go to the one before that? So I just want to make the point. This, from a compatibility perspective particularly, these are other condominiums this slide shows that are on Beach Road that show shadowing does occur. Yes, it occurs. And yes, it does at the winter solstice, at the coldest time of the year, by the way. So yes, there's some shadowing. We're not denying that. But if you can never shadow someone else's building, then why have the waiver? Why allow for the height? Why do anything? Things do change. And by the way, I understand it. And in fact, one of their own images showed some of their own trees shade their pool at the time at the Claridge. So yes, that's there, but that is not an abnormal circumstance, particularly when you're dealing with condominiums and what happened. It's also worth noting, by the way, that when the Claridge was built, not only was there no objection from Beach Sound about it being so much higher, they also got a variance to put their pool closer to the Beach Sound property. So all of this retroactive, oh, what about me, forgets all of that as well. And it's worth remembering. So yes, there's going to be some shade, but again, we've done what we can to limit that, and we meet the standards, and it's consistent with what happens up and down Beach Road. Now we'll be happy to answer questions.
Thank you. Commissioner Powell.
Thank you, Mayor. Attorney Seymour, can you tell me, I know it would be the same number of units, and this is based off of beautiful song.
Can everyone turn their cell phones off, please?
I like my walk-up music.
Beautiful, beautiful. How many parking spaces are there currently as opposed to what's being proposed? So we know there's a proposal of 30 30 spaces for the new units. How many are there currently?
So I'm not sure. Let me check on that. 1 second. I'm sorry. So it's somewhere, it's less than 30. It's around 25 and maybe 26, 24, 27, but it's less than the 30 fewer than 30 that are being provided.
Okay, so that's interesting. So based on the number of units, it's not changing. I've got another question. The next question is, Attorney Chain got up and he's representing individuals, Edward Rado and Karen Rado, who currently live at Beach Sound. I've pulled up the list that was with the application of property owners, and just based on the addresses, it looks like at least half of them, this is not either their primary address or the primary area place where they receive mail. Just for my edification, how many of the units are currently owner-occupied or occupied by people who currently, owner-occupied?
So I don't know the answer to that question. I don't think that they're rented out necessarily, Commissioner Powell. I suspect that a lot of these condos, I don't know the answer, by the way, but just in general, with a lot of these condos on the beachfront, they're people who live part-time in Florida. Whether and how many live specifically full-time there or not, we don't know, but the owners did consent where they needed. But more importantly, we went through this with the county attorney's office at length. There has been a decision by the court that basically supports the termination of the condominium and the process by which Mr. and Mrs. Rado will get paid, that they consented as well, the condominium association.
Okay. My final question, although I have a lot listed, is one of the persons who got up to speak against this proposal indicated that this building is relatively a new building. Well, not relatively, but it was built 40 years ago, which he would indicate is pretty young. And I think 40 is youngish, right? But what is the reason for the redevelopment?
So I'm 54 and I'm falling apart, so I can't speak to from 1984 and 40 years. But the reason, so reason is an interesting dynamic, right? The owners of the building were approached by Mr. Perko. They went through their process, whatever their process was. I can't speak for each of the owners. And they decided that the best interest of the owners, the association, the building at large, was to redevelop the property. That's the only thing I can tell you with detail.
Thank you.
Vice Mayor.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Mr. Seymour, I want to clarify a few things that were mentioned during when people were speaking, a few questions. Somebody had referenced that the applicant's building will be 6 times larger than the current structure, than Claridge. Is that true?
No, it will be shorter than the Claridge.
Well, square footage wise.
Well, so I don't
Don't
have
know the square
I don't know
footage
off
of
the top
Claridge.
of my head. I don't know if Josh, do you?
Thank you. Thank you. No comments from the audience.
We don't have that full calculation of each individual piece. At every property being different, it's a little bit hard to deal with, but it is larger than we were, and it is larger than some of the other buildings.
So it's not as tall as Claridge, but we don't know square footage.
I don't off the top of my head.
My next question, the reference to each unit, because you're still only proposing 12 units,
Correct.
that there will be a lot of bedrooms. So what is the max amount of bedrooms in these units?
I don't have the floor plan with me. That was something that had not previously come up. I don't believe they're 9,000 square foot units, though.
For the record,
Please, no comments from the audience.
for the record, Josh Lawn, in a condominium like this, these units will be custom tailored to the pre-sale people. So some of these people may have areas for their art collections and things like that. So the number of bedrooms is going to be determined when we get into the construction documents.
Gotcha. Thank you for that. I think parking was addressed. The wind speed was already addressed. My next question is for the county attorney. The opinion on the there was something brought up about, necessitate or the requirement of a rebuild. Where does that actually lie? Do they have to be required to do that?
No, so staff has opined that condition has been satisfied. The condition does not require this building to be in a state of disrepair or anything like that in order to be rebuilt.
Thank you. And those are my questions, so thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Commissioner Sachs.
I want to thank all the folks who came out today, pro or con. I think our property rights are very important, and our property values are something very important, and I appreciate you coming up here to talk to us about it. Mr. Seymour, what is a fair market value of the units that, if you're allowed to develop, will sell at?
The new units?
Sir, yes.
Oh, goodness. So I'm always very cautious about this because it goes into the pro formas, but and I obviously don't know. I clearly don't know, right? I don't get into the financials.
You're not going to buy one or two of them?
Yeah, I'm not buying any of them, whatever they're priced. I'm sure it's over my pay
It was in
grade.
jest. I'm just, what I'm getting at is this.
let
I'll
me
tell
see
you
what I
what
could-
well, just a
yeah.
second. I'm getting at is this. It's important for every homeowner to have your property value go up and not go down. And that depends on what's going on in your neighborhood. My interest is, if you are allowed to develop or redevelop this building, will that increase or decrease the value of the neighbors in the neighborhood?
So I think the answer to that was given by one of the gentlemen who spoke against it, ironically, that when he said they are receiving more than their market value, every one of those sales becomes a comparable sale as to the square footage price. And then if you have the unit sales that are above that, they become potentially unit price comparables. They get adjusted by appraisers. So ultimately, that indicates that the values are going up, not down, based on this process.
If you're allowed to redevelop
Yes,
this
ma'am.
building. And the issues that have been brought up with regard to wind corridor, shade, and things like that. I think you have sufficiently answered those. They're not necessarily to the benefit of the neighbors, but however is pursuant to what our ordinances are and the law. But with regard to environmental issues, and this is really for staff, have we examined carefully any environmental issues that will occur as a result of this redevelopment?
Yes, we've had our Environmental Resources Management Department. There's actually 2 staff here that have very closely looked at any environmental implications. There are sea turtle lighting ordinances and such that will be addressed separately at the time of building permit.
I don't need to speak to anybody. I appreciate there's somebody coming up, so enjoy yourself. Sit down. I don't need, Miss Amara is doing a great job.
They're here, and it has been fully vetted and reviewed, and it will
So
have
the sea
to-
turtles are good.
Turtles are happy.
Happy, that's what I want to be. And this underground, and Miss Amar, this underground garage is amazing to me that we could build something like that so close to the ocean. That engineering has been completely vetted, and it's safe.
The details of the civil drawings and the building permit have yet to come forward, but we have had conversations with the building division, and there's, I believe, also representatives here from them as well. And they're confident that the construction will meet all building code requirements and environmental requirements.
Very good. And any issues with regard to wind, flooding, things of that nature, the county has reviewed and we have approved?
There's no floodplain issues that we're aware of, and the construction with the underground parking, as I stated, the building department will ensure that it meets all required regulations.
Ensure. Okay, I like that word, ensure. Thank you so much. Thank you, Madam Mayor. Thank you.
You're
Mr.
welcome. Lisa. Sorry, not feeling spiffy. Can you hear me? The buildings along this corridor, there are 7. Would they be able, the same footprint be able to be built today on those properties?
Not without a waiver.
Thank you. My fellow commissioners asked very good questions and actually asked the questions I was going to ask. So I don't have any problem with asking one of my commissioners to support this and make the motion. As mayor, I'm not allowed to do that. So do I have a motion and a second?
I move it.
I have a motion from the vice mayor and I have a second from Commissioner Weiss. Commissioner Powell, your light is on. Do you have any more comments?
I do, Madam Mayor. Thank you for that. I did just want to say, I want to thank everyone who came and spoke about this project. It's extremely important that we discuss these matters, especially in great detail. One of the challenges that I do have is that in terms of the size and square footage of the building, it looks like on the site plan, I may be wrong if I'm looking at this incorrectly, it's 63,403 square feet. One of the challenges when Josh Long got up and spoke, he indicated that the units would be built out, the bedrooms would be built based out. Let me slow down. The number of bedrooms will be built based on the individual owners who come in and purchase the units. They'd have the opportunity to redo that. The challenge with that is people have indicated the issue of parking. And based on the number of units, which is what parking is based on, in table 6, I pulled it up earlier, but in the chart, in the parking calculation, parking is based on the number of units and not the square footage or the number of bedrooms per unit. So that does obviously present some type of challenge. One of the issues I also had here is not being able to tell us what the size of each unit or the size of the total building would be as compared to what's there now. And then just the level of, on each side of what we're looking at. I heard someone come up and say, well, we don't have hot tubs. Someone got up and indicated that, well, there's nothing in here about air rights. I think, respectfully, its interpretation in terms of adverse impacts on properties that are adjacent. I do agree with staff here because staff has reviewed this much more in detail than I have over the last 2 days. So I'm, of course, going to support, but I do also believe that there were some really good points that were brought up by those who are opposed to this. And those are things that, as the development team continues to work on this, I'm hopeful that maybe they can work together on some of these issues and challenges, not to throw away what you have, but to maybe work together so that the individuals who live in this area are able to live in harmony. That being said, I close my particular comments on this, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. We do have a motion in a second, and I will comment. I do want to thank everybody that came today to voice their opinion one way or the other. That's what we're supposed to do. That's why we have public comment here. I do want anything that gets built to be built with the facts that have been given to us today. So I don't have an issue with the parking because I don't believe that these folks are going to be residents. I believe these are going to be second, third homes, which a lot of the condos on this stretch of land are second and third condos. Given the fact that it is the same amount of units, I'm comfortable with it. I thank everybody again. I have no more questions. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, see that motion carries 6-0. Thank you very much for everyone that came today to speak. So we have what looks like 2 more items on our agenda, and hopefully we can get through those in a quick manner. We have items C, 10, and 11, the comprehensive plan amendment with concurrent zoning and ALDC applications for the paving lady.
These next items on the agenda, 10 and 11, correct, Wendy?
Yes.
These items are combo items where 10 is a site-specific future land use amendment to the comprehensive plan, and 11 is the associated zoning application. If the board would like to do disclosures before we do both items, that works. You know, there's no disclosures needed for 10, but there are disclosures needed for 11. And before we go to the applicant for the presentation, if you'd like to do disclosures now.
We'll do disclosures now. That's great. Thank you. Commissioner Sachs, any disclosures on these items?
And we're dealing with, I'm sorry, item number
11.
Paving lady. No disclosures.
Thank you. Commissioner Woodward.
No disclosures.
Vice Mayor Baxter.
No disclosures.
Commissioner Weiss.
No disclosures.
Commissioner Powell.
No disclosures.
And I have no disclosures also. Would anybody like a staff presentation? I don't see a need for a presentation. I think we all have the information that we need. So is there anything staff wants to add?
No, unless Mr. McKinley is dying to do a presentation for us. I think we're...
I think you know me better than that. But I am reminded of Matthew 20, verse 16. The first shall be last and the last shall be first. But with that, I will forego a presentation and rely on the staff report and the fact that we have no opposition towards it.
Thank you. So,
Thank you.
Commissioner Weiss.
Thank you, Mayor. This area is in District 2, this application, and it is, it's an area where there is a lot of industrial uses, and this, so as far as I'm concerned, this makes a lot of sense what they're asking to do, and I have no problem supporting it today, based on the staff report we've received.
Would you like to make the motion?
I will move items 10 and 11.
Can we take them together?
I would just request that you specify, a motion to approve item 10A, and then a motion to approve items 10, 11A and B.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion from Commissioner Weiss, a second from Vice Mayor Baxter. All in favor? All opposed? See that motion carries 6-0.
Thank you.
Okay.
We have one more?
You want to do 11 now?
I thought we did them together. We did them together. We did them as Darren read them in. We are good.
Tough job.
Thank you very much. That takes us to the end of the regular agenda. County Attorney, anything you'd like to add?
Nope.
Planning Director,
No comments, thank you.
Zoning Director,
No comments.
Zoning Executive Director, Deputy County Administrator,
No comment.
any board direction? Any commissioners would like to make a comment? Commissioner Powell, anything?
I do want to recognize that we have a Riviera Beach mayor, Reverend Griffin Davis, who passed away not too long ago. There will be a funeral for him. The wake is tomorrow in Riviera Beach at the Hilltop Missionary Baptist Church. Can you hear me? Testing, better. Reverend Griffin Davis, the funeral will be on Sunday. The wake is on tomorrow. The funeral will be at the Palm Beach County Convention Center. The wake will be at Hilltop Missionary Baptist Church. He is was a major figure in the community, former Riviera Beach council person, and longtime pastor of Hilltop Missionary Baptist Church. So I did want to make sure that people knew that and were aware. And I think that's all that I have, Madam Mayor. Everyone have a great weekend.
Thank you. Commissioner Weiss. Thank you. These are not loud.
Thank you, Mayor. A couple things I wanted to talk about this morning or this afternoon. One is I had a meeting with the town of Atlantis, JFK, Palm Beach State College, and learned that they have put an MOU together, a memorandum of understanding with these groups, plus all the mid-county cities, and they're working together on putting a plan together on how they might improve economics of central Palm Beach County, more directly looking at job creation strategies and things like that. And so just wanted to acknowledge what they're doing and how, that they're working together. I think it dovetails in very well with the Transportation Master Plan that is now underway. So just wanted to recognize the good work that's going on. My understanding is Commissioner Flores was involved in this when he was mayor of Green Acres and continues to attend their meetings. So that was really good to hear that they're all working together and including the county as well. Second thing I want to talk about is a little disheartening to me. There was an article yesterday in the Palm Beach Post, and it was about a Palm Beach County resident, U.S. citizen, who was detained by Border Patrol. There was a video, apparently he recorded a video of the altercation or the incident, and to see an American citizen treated this way, I understand the need for protecting our borders. I understand the need for ensuring that people are in this country legally. But when you're dealing with a U.S. citizen, to have somebody in law enforcement, and I am a big supporter of law enforcement, but somebody, it doesn't identify who it was, tell him he has no rights, referred to him with an ethnic slur. They detained him for apparently over 6 hours, and there are no reports. So I'm going to ask that staff, I guess, I don't know if somebody can pull these reports. I'd love to know what actually transpired to this young man. He was 18 years old. He was on his way to work. He's a landscaper. And just the callousness he was treated with, I'm not an attorney, but I know we have a Fourth Amendment right to search and seizure. And I was just very disappointed, and I want to make sure that we never hear of such an incident like this again with our own residents and U.S. citizens. It was very troubling. And I know as Americans, we can do better. It's not our values. And I just ask that those that run these operations and agencies, please, we can do better. We can do better. This young man has gone through a lot, and it was unnecessary, totally unnecessary.
Thank you. Commissioner Woodward.
Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to wish everyone a happy break. And we had a number of retirements this past month, or people leaving us. And I'd like to just thank everyone who's been a part of Team PBC, and wherever you go, keep us in mind. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Sachs.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. In response to what Commissioner Weiss has stated, and it's the first time I heard it, I didn't get to read the entire Palm Beach Post yesterday, or Sunset Note, whichever it was in. Was it in the Post, Commissioner?
It was in the Post.
Okay. So this is what we need to do. I'd like to have legal counsel, the county council, a county's legal team, put together a paper, thank you, as to and I've requested this before, now I'm requesting it publicly and with my colleagues on the side, and especially with what Commissioner Weiss has informed us, as to the rights of, the legal rights of persons in our county and in the United States. Because the legal rights in our Constitution doesn't just apply to citizens, it applies to persons. Secondly, in that report to our county attorney's office, if you could please include what is the legal ramification for someone entering the United States illegally or overstaying their visa while in the United States, whether that is a crime or whether it is a violation of administrative law. I know there was a bill in Tallahassee with regard to this issue, so I'd like to have all of us informed from our county attorney's office as to the ramifications of what occurs, the legal consequences of a person entering this country illegally, whether that is a crime or not. And I think that this should be distributed on our website as well as to every commissioner here. I think what occurred and what is occurring in this county is incorrect and it's wrong. But I'd like to know from legal counsel exactly what the legal ramifications are that has been occurring. And then I'd like to have a report from Animal Care and Control. I've been so impressed with how they are doing under Jan Steele. She's doing a great job. But I'd like to know from them how many nuisance calls they get. This is costing us money. And there's a lot of nuisance calls. For example, one neighbor doesn't like another neighbor, and so they call code enforcement. Could be code enforcement, but mostly it's because their dog stepped on the sidewalk and that's not their property. So what happens is that we go out and respond, which we should, but it costs us money in the county. And I'd like to have some kind of report from Animal Care and Control and code enforcement as to nuisance calls, because it may be that we could, after a while, after the second and third nuisance call, we could begin to charge the complainant for the cost to the county. People should also be held accountable. And I'd like to have a report as to what has occurred with our request to our hospitals when we had the emergency hearing and we gave them so much deference to the hospitals here in Palm Beach County with regard to our mental health for kids. They all said they were going to discuss it and get back to us. Chief Durnan said that he was going to start that meeting with them, And I don't need the chief to tell us at the next meeting, but I would like to know from our staff what has been the result of that meeting and what, if anything, are our hospitals going to do about taking care of our children with mental health. And that's, I'm paraphrasing the Baker Act as well. And I'd like to wish everybody a great 2 weeks off. Look forward to seeing everybody back. I won't be in the office for the next 2 weeks, but I will be in touch. So I won't be calling you, but if you need me, you always know how to reach me. Thanks so much, Madam Mayor. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you all. Thank you, staff. I like a meeting that gets over before noon. That's always nice. Yes, I do hope everybody takes the time over the next 2 weeks to recharge their batteries. I think we've been quite busy as a group. I'd like to welcome our new administrator, who at our next meeting will be sitting where Patrick's sitting. So that'll be his first meeting. Will be our first meeting back in August. We look forward to seeing him there.
Are you letting me wrap up, Adam Mayor?
Oh,
But thanks.
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Go right ahead.
So, well, thank you.
I'm tired.
In addition to Commissioner Weiss and Commissioner Sachs's comments, there's a few things I would like to go on record saying. I think most of our men and women in law enforcement do an amazing job and do what they can with the best tools they have. I think it's a thankless job, and I wouldn't want to be in their position. With that being said, I think we all know how some reports can be written, or some news outlets like to write things to gain readership, which isn't necessarily based in fact. So if we are, to their point, requesting a report, there's a few things I'd like to add or have added to that report. I would also like to know about what is the policy of the officers to obtain the information of whether they are here legally or not. And is it as simple as asking for identification? Was this person resisting providing that identification? Were they cooperating? I do not think that our officers act this way or act poorly without some justification to how the person was acting. Why? There seems to be no reason. If you say, here's my identification, have a nice day. So I would like some more details to how this video occurred, what led up to the video, because as we know, small clips can be taken out of context. So I don't want to just go down this path of saying, oh, what these officers did was terrible. I want the full report of what details were surrounding this. I would also like to know, how many people do they get that are illegal? How many people do they keep, from being on our streets that are not here legally? And more so, the purpose of people entering here legally is important. Having borders is a very important issue. But also making sure that people that are here are not intending to do harm to our citizens. We need to keep them safe. And our officers do an amazing job at that. So we don't want some report to just make all of them vilified. I want to get the details of what's going on here. So that's what I'm going to conclude with that. And lastly, on a happy note, I would like to wish my oldest a very happy birthday, which was yesterday, July 23rd. He turned 16. Pray for me. So thank you,
Is
everyone.
he getting his license soon?
If his grades get better, he is.
Okay. Okay, so we heard something about good grades.
Grades. So I just want to say thank you to staff. Thank you to everyone for being here. So have a great weekend.
Vice Mayor, I apologize. So actually, Commissioner Weiss and I attended the League of Cities luncheon yesterday, and there was a gentleman there from the Florida League of Cities. They're one of their legislative teams. And the takeaway was it will be a concerted effort between the county and the municipalities going forward to make sure that property taxes are treated the way they're supposed to be treated, and that folks understand that property taxes pay for all of the services that we get, including police and fire and emergency rescue. And so as a unified voice, I think that will be a very popular topic coming up. So just wanted to throw that out there and say thank you to the municipalities for having that conversation yesterday, and the fact that Commissioner Weiss and I were there to say the county was all in also with them, because we are stronger together than we are divided. With that note, everyone have a wonderful break, and we'll see you in August.